Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. I feel like we've been at this habit thing for a while now, and I'm really into it.
Yeah, it's fascinating, right?
It is. It's cool to dive in and really look at the specifics. I remember when we first started talking about atomic habits and that whole thing about tiny changes leading to big results. It just seemed too easy.
I mean, our brains are really susceptible to those small shifts, especially when we understand how they work.
Yeah. And speaking of leveraging things to our advantage, let's not forget our little trip into the strategic art of snack hiding. Making sure those healthy choices are easy to see and the tempting treats are tougher to reach. How's that working for you?
I've definitely noticed that I choose healthier snacks more when they're easier to grab. And actually, funny you mention it, I did find a bag of trail mix hidden away in a drawer the other day.
No way.
Yeah.
See? Even the experts slip up sometimes. But hey, at least we're trying, right? And remember when we talked about making habits more appealing? Just a little creativity can make a boring task something you look forward to.
For sure. It all comes down to our brain's reward system. By associating good behaviors with good experiences, we're basically rewiring our brains to want to do those things.
It's like tricking our inner sloth into getting things done. Which brings us to today's topic. We're getting even more productively lazy by looking at how to make habits satisfying with instant rewards. It's like we're giving our brains permission to enjoy those little hits of pleasure that keep us motivated.
Exactly. We're going to break down the fundamental principle of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. But we'll go deeper than just saying it. We'll actually look at the neuroscience behind it.
Okay, I'm ready to get my brain boosted. Let's do this.
So when we experience something pleasurable, our brains release dopamine. That's the neurochemical connected to feeling rewarded and motivated. This dopamine surge creates a positive feedback loop that reinforces whatever behavior led to the reward.
So it's like our brains are saying, hey, that felt good, let's do it again.
That's it. And the key is immediacy. The closer the reward is to the action, the stronger that connection gets in our brains.
So that's why those late-night snack cravings are so hard to resist. The reward of that yummy treat is right there. But how can we use this principle for habits that don't give us that instant gratification?
That's where we need to get creative. We've got to find ways to create those instant rewards, to give our brains that dopamine hit right after we do the thing we want to make a habit.
Okay, give me an example. How do we make something like exercise instantly rewarding? Because sometimes the post-workout endorphin rush just doesn't cut it.
Let's say you're not looking forward to a 30-minute run. Instead of just focusing on getting in shape, what if you paired each run with a small reward, something you really enjoy?
Like listening to a new episode of my favorite true crime podcast while I run? That's not a bad idea. I do love a good mystery.
Exactly. Or maybe you treat yourself to a nice bubble bath after each workout. It's all about finding something that really gets you going, that makes you actually enjoy the act of exercising.
We're basically bribing our brains with little bits of happiness. And you know me, I'm all about finding those lazy shortcuts to success.
Nothing wrong with that. Remember, our brains are wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. If we use that to our advantage, we can make forming habits feel less like a chore and more like a fun experience.
This is making me rethink my whole flossing routine. What if I paired each session with, a mini dance party? Just me, my floss, and some awesome dance moves.
I wouldn't recommend flossing and dancing too hard at the same time, but the idea is solid. Find what works for you, and remember, even small rewards can have a big impact on your motivation.
I'm already feeling more motivated just thinking about it. But we've got a lot more to cover today. Stay tuned because we're about to explore some practical strategies to make those instant rewards even more effective.
Okay, so we've talked about how our brains love rewards, especially instant ones. But how do we make sure those rewards actually lead to lasting habits?
Right. We don't want to be chasing that dopamine all day long. That sounds exhausting.
Exactly. We need that balance between rewards and staying focused. And one way to do that is habit tracking. Remember, we talked about this before.
Yeah, habit tracking. I've been meaning to try that. I'm a visual person, so I like the idea of seeing my progress.
It's more than just that visual aspect, though that is nice. When you consistently track your habits, you're creating a visual representation of your effort. Each check mark, each entry in your tracker, it becomes a real reminder of how far you've come. And that can be super rewarding.
It's like getting those likes on social media. But for self-improvement, each check mark is a little pat on the back for sticking to your goals.
Exactly. It plays on our natural desire for achievement and progress. And honestly, who doesn't love a good streak? Seeing a chain of successful days is seriously motivating.
Okay, you've convinced me. Habit tracking is going on my to-do list.
Yeah.
But let's be real. There are some habits that even the best tracker can't make fun. I'm looking at you flossing.
Ah, yes, the eternal struggle of flossing. Even a perfect streak might not be enough for that one.
Nope. But maybe there's hope. Remember, accountability partners. Having someone to share the flossing journey with might make it bearable.
That's a great idea. James Clear, the Atomic Habits guy, he says accountability can really boost our commitment to our goals. When we know someone's watching and supporting us, we're less likely to slack off.
It's like having a personal cheerleader. Someone who's invested in your success and gives you a little nudge when you need it. Plus, that external validation can be really motivating.
Absolutely. And don't forget about healthy competition. When you have someone else working towards the same goals, it pushes you to work harder. Think of it like a workout buddy who won't let you skip leg day.
Or a flossing buddy who reminds you about that one lonely tooth. Maybe that's the key to making flossing fun. We got to gamify it.
Yeah.
Turn it into a challenge you actually want to win.
I like how you're thinking. You could create a little competition with your accountability partner. Each day of flossing earns you points.
Ooh, I like that. We could even have a prize for the winner, like bragging rights or a lifetime supply of dental floss.
Let's not get too crazy, but you get the idea. By making things fun and competitive, we can transform even the most boring tasks into something we enjoy.
This is making me rethink my whole approach to building habits. It's not just willpower. It's about finding those little bits of joy that make it sustainable.
Exactly, and that's what makes it so great. When we understand how our brains work and use that knowledge to our advantage, we can make lasting change feel effortless and even fun.
This has been so eye-opening. But before we get carried away with all this habit hacking, let's talk about a common misconception. The idea that success depends only on talent. What about those of us who weren't born with superpowers? Are we destined for mediocrity?
Not at all. While natural abilities can give you a head start, James Clear emphasizes that consistent effort and habit building are way more important in the long run.
So it's not about being a prodigy. It's about putting in the work day after day. I like that. It means we have the power to succeed no matter what our natural talents are.
You got it. It's about knowing your strength, figuring out what you're good at, and then creating habits that help you use those strengths. For example, think about someone who maybe isn't a natural runner, but is really disciplined and loves to walk.
So instead of forcing themselves to run, they could make a habit of walking briskly for 30 minutes every day, maybe while listening to music or a podcast. They're still getting exercise, but in a way that fits their strengths and preferences.
Exactly. They've turned their fitness routine into something they actually enjoy, which makes them much more likely to keep it up. It's a perfect example of how we can tailor our habits to match our individual personalities and preferences.
This is giving me so much hope. It means we can achieve amazing things even if we don't have those natural talents that everyone talks about.
Absolutely. And remember, building habits is an ongoing thing. There will be times when you feel like you're killing it and times when you struggle. The important thing is to keep experimenting, learning from your mistakes, and refining your approach.
So it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent.
You got it. And remember, even when you mess up, it's not a failure. It's a chance to learn and try again. The key is to keep experimenting. Keep improving your reward systems and never give up on creating positive change in your life.
Okay, so we talked about instant rewards, habit tracking accountability partners, and busted that myth about talent. I feel like we've learned a lot.
Yeah, we've covered some serious ground, but we're just getting started with habit formation. There's always more to learn and new things to try. But before we go all advanced level habit ninja on you, I think it's time for a little challenge.
A challenge, you say? I'm always up for a friendly competition, especially if it means leveling up my habit game.
Awesome. Here's your mission for this week. Pick one habit you've been wanting to start or make stronger and come up with a reward system for yourself.
Ooh, I love a good project. And this time it's about building habits instead of furniture. This is going to be fun, but where do we even start?
Think about what really motivates you. What are those little things that make you happy, even if it's just for a second? Remember, the key is to make the rewards immediate and connected to the habit you're building.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. So, for example, if I wanted to finally tackle that writing project I've been putting off, I could reward myself with a fancy latte from my favorite coffee shop after each writing session.
Exactly. Or maybe let yourself scroll through social media for a few minutes after you finish a tough task. There's so many possibilities.
This is making me realize how creative we can be with habit building. It's not about depriving ourselves. It's about finding those little things that make it all feel worthwhile.
That's the spirit. And don't be afraid to experiment. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding what works for you and what keeps you motivated.
So we're all like mad scientists creating our own formulas for mastering habits.
That's a great way to put it. And the best part is there's no one right answer. As long as your reward system helps you stick to your habits, you're doing it right.
I love that. It means we get to design a habit journey that fits our own needs and preferences.
Exactly. And that's what makes this so exciting. It's a journey of self-discovery. You learn what motivates you and how to use your brain's reward system to create real change.
This deep dive has been amazing. I feel inspired and ready to put all this into practice.
That's what we like to hear. And remember, we're here to support you every step of the way. Next week, we're going even deeper with a special episode on advanced tactics.
Advanced tactics. Now, that sounds interesting. What kind of habit magic are we going to learn next time?
We'll be talking about strategies like habit stacking, temptation bundling, and even more powerful ways to reward yourself. Get ready to take your habit game to the next level.
I can't wait. It feels like we're going from habit heroes to habit masters. But before we go, any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they start their habit adventures?
Remember what James Clear said. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So as you're designing your rewards and planning your strategies, think about the big picture. How can you create an environment that helps you reach your goals and makes it easier to stay on track?
That's such a good point. It's not just about individual actions. It's about creating a whole system that sets us up for success. So as we take on this week's challenge, let's remember to build those support systems that will make our habit journeys fun and sustainable.
Absolutely. And with that, we'll leave you to your habit hacking adventures. Until next time, keep experimenting, keep learning, and keep celebrating those little wins along the way.
And don't forget to share your successes with us. We love hearing from you. See you next time on The Deep Dive.